Hey, Stuart. Well, ICE says this first-of-a-kind operation targeted major cities in Florida. So local law enforcement and federal partners like ICE and CBP, they worked alongside each other. They describe who they caught in that group as violent, illegal immigrants.
While sanctuary cities protected criminals, Florida built an enforcement fortress. 327 partnerships with ICE, more than any state in American history. Last week, that fortress proved its worth when 400 criminal aliens learned there's no hiding in the Sunshine State.
Whoa, 400 arrests, that's not just a bust. It's a full-scale crackdown.
Domestic abusers working construction jobs, drunk drivers behind the wheels of school buses, each one protected by federal warrants, all of them hunted by Florida's enforcement army. What made this operation so different? And why are criminals fleeing Florida faster than tourists are arriving?
That's intense. Florida isn't playing. Criminals thought that they had cover, but ICE just proved otherwise.
Into operations protecting your communities. Let's break down Florida's 507% ICE surge and how it all came together to deliver this massive success.
That's impressive. A 577% surge doesn't happen by accident. Florida clearly built a system that actually enforces the law.
Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis chose a different path. He didn't just tolerate federal immigration enforcement, he embraced it, he expanded it, he turned Florida into the most cooperative state in American history. The results speak for themselves. 327 partnerships with ICE, a 5% increase since January 20th, 2025, more than any state has ever achieved. California has sanctuary policies protecting criminals. New York fights ICE in federal court. Illinois declares itself a safe haven for illegal aliens. But Florida built an enforcement fortress. This wasn't political theater designed for campaign ads. This was systematic enforcement architecture engineered to protect Florida families. Each partnership represents a sheriff's office, a police department, or a state agency authorized to act as federal immigration agents under the 287G program. Each partnership means criminals can't hide in jurisdictional gray areas. Each partnership closes enforcement gaps that criminals have exploited for decades. Washington politicians talk about border security. Florida delivers criminal alien removal. The difference between rhetoric and results has never been clearer.
That's a stark contrast. While some states argue and block, Florida built a system that actually gets results.
Better lives. They uncovered a criminal network operating in plain sight, protected by outstanding federal warrants that local authorities couldn't enforce alone. The scope of criminality was shocking. Over 400 arrests in just 5 days. Each arrest backed by federal warrants. Each criminal was convicted of serious offenses before living freely in Florida communities. Convicted pedophiles renting apartments 3 blocks from elementary schools. Child predators with outstanding warrants walking past playgrounds every morning. Men convicted of lewd and obscene conduct living in family neighborhoods where children play outside. These weren't accusations. These were convictions. Criminal records that should have prevented them from living anywhere near vulnerable populations. Domestic violence offenders with restraining orders working construction in residential areas. Convicted domestic abusers building homes in neighborhoods where their victims might live. Men with assault convictions on job sites with no background checks, each one violating the terms of their federal immigration status. Each one protected by a system that couldn't coordinate enforcement. Repeat drunk drivers behind wheels of delivery trucks and school buses, DUI convictions that should have resulted in deportation, instead resulting in new opportunities to endanger American families. One driver was arrested.
That's terrifying. These weren't minor infractions. These were serious criminals walking freely while federal warrants went unenforced.
A third arrested for DUI while resisting arrest and assaulting officers. These weren't mistakes. These were patterns of criminal behavior enabled by enforcement gaps. Drug dealers operating near schools, vehicle thieves with multiple convictions, hit-and-run drivers who fled accident scenes and remained free, prostitution rings operating in Florida cities. Each criminal was protected by outstanding federal warrants that collected dust while communities remained at risk. This was the reality that Florida's partnership model was designed to eliminate. Outstanding warrants that meant nothing without coordination. Criminal convictions that didn't trigger removal without state-federal cooperation. A justice system where criminals exploited bureaucratic gaps to continue endangering American families.
That's a nightmare scenario. Florida's system clearly shows how much damage enforcement gaps can do when criminals slip through the cracks.
ICE agents didn't work alone. They activated Florida's enforcement fortress. The operation wasn't a federal overreach into state authority. It was a coordinated partnership between agencies that normally operate in separate jurisdictions. ICE Miami led the operation with federal authority and immigration expertise. But the real power came from state and local partnerships that provided capabilities ICE could never achieve alone. Florida Highway Patrol provided tactical support that transformed enforcement efficiency. State troopers who know Florida's roads better than anyone. Officers trained in high-speed pursuit and tactical operations. Resources that helped ICE agents locate and arrest criminals who might have escaped federal authorities operating alone. Sheriff's offices shared intelligence that made precision targeting possible. Polk County Sheriff's Office brought local knowledge of criminal networks. The Brevard County Sheriff's Office provided information about repeat offenders. These partnerships meant ICE agents weren't hunting blind.
That's huge. Coordinated state and federal efforts turned enforcement from reactive to unstoppable.
The Florida National Guard offered logistical coordination that multiplied operational capacity. Transportation resources, communication systems, support personnel that freed ICE agents to focus on arrests while guardsmen handled logistics. This was military precision applied to civilian law enforcement, customs and border protection, assisted with transportation routes and processing capacity. Federal agents who understood how to move hundreds of criminal aliens through the deportation system efficiently. Expertise that prevented bottlenecks that might have delayed removals. This was a state-federal partnership operating at maximum efficiency. A coordinated enforcement machine that no criminal network could escape. Multiple agencies working toward one goal, removing the worst criminals from Florida communities. No jurisdictional disputes, no political obstruction, just professional law enforcement cooperation that delivered results.
That's impressive. A multi-agency, no obstruction operation like this show how effective enforcement can be when everyone works together.
Hunt criminal aliens. While sanctuary mayors fight ICE in court, Florida agencies coordinate operations. While sanctuary policies protect criminals, Florida partnerships remove them. The Central Florida operation exposed a disturbing truth about America's justice system. These 400 criminals weren't hiding from law enforcement in the traditional sense. They were hiding in plain sight, protected by a system that couldn't coordinate enforcement across jurisdictions. Outstanding federal warrants that collected dust in bureaucratic filing systems. Warrants that meant nothing without agencies authorized to execute them. Paperwork that proved criminality without producing arrests.
That's a striking contrast. Coordination makes all the difference. What's ignored is one state becomes justice in another.
Local police departments that encountered these criminals during traffic stops couldn't hold them on immigration violations. State authorities who knew about federal warrants couldn't serve them without federal authorization. Sheriff's offices that wanted to remove dangerous criminals from their communities had no legal authority to coordinate with ICE without 287G partnerships.
That explains a lot. Without proper partnerships, criminals slip through every crack, no matter how obvious their offenses.
Outstanding federal warrants meant little. They could live freely, work openly, and continue criminal activity with minimal risk of deportation. The system protected them through dysfunction rather than design. Immigration violations that state authorities couldn't prosecute created safe havens within American communities. Jurisdictional boundaries that criminals crossed freely, while law enforcement remained trapped behind bureaucratic walls. Policy gaps that turned serious criminal convictions into minor inconveniences. Florida's partnership model closed those gaps permanently. What took years of bureaucratic delays became days of coordinated action. Outstanding warrants that sat in filing cabinets for months suddenly resulted in arrests within hours. Criminals who thought jurisdictional boundaries protected them learned that Florida's 327 partnerships eliminated those hiding places.
That's a game changer. When criminals realize no corner is safe, enforcement actually works the way it's supposed to.
Sheriff's deputies who could now execute ICE warrants during routine law enforcement. Highway patrol officers who could detain criminal aliens during traffic stops. Police departments that could coordinate with ICE without waiting for federal agents to arrive. For 5 days, Central Florida became a law enforcement coordination center unlike anything in American immigration enforcement history. September 22nd through September 26, 2025. Dawn raids hitting criminal safe houses based on intelligence from local sheriff's offices. Highway checkpoints catching repeat offenders during morning commutes. School zone sweeps removed pedophiles from areas where children gathered. Construction site operations arresting domestic abusers working alongside unsuspecting co-workers. Each arrest backed by federal warrants. Each criminal removed from Florida communities where they posed ongoing threats. This wasn't random enforcement targeting anyone without documentation. This was surgical precision targeting the worst criminals in America based on outstanding warrants and serious criminal convictions.
That's precision enforcement at its finest. Targeting only the worst offenders show how much coordination can amplify results.
Sheriff's deputies offering local intelligence, National Guard coordinating logistics, multiple agencies operating as one unified enforcement machine. 400 arrests in 5 days, 0 officer casualties, 0 civilian injuries, professional law enforcement cooperation that prioritized public safety while respecting operational security. Criminals removed from communities without creating the chaos that critics predicted. The criminal network dismantled systematically. Pedophiles who thought they could hide near schools learned otherwise. Domestic abusers who believed restraining orders were their only consequence discovered deportation waiting. Drunk drivers who accumulated multiple DUIs without immigration consequences finally faced removal. Each arrest represented one less threat to Florida families. The operation sent shockwaves through criminal alien networks across America. Florida's enforcement fortress wasn't theoretical. It was operational. Criminals who believed they could hide in jurisdictional gaps learned that 327 state-federal partnerships eliminated those gaps. The message was clear. There's no hiding in the Sunshine State.
That's a powerful statement. Florida isn't just talking enforcement. They're proving it, and criminals are learning the hard way.
Versus sanctuary obstruction, results versus resistance, public safety versus political ideology. While sanctuary cities fought ICE in court, Florida fought criminals on the streets. The contrast couldn't be starker or more revealing about what happens when states choose different paths.
Man, that's wild. Like, how can anyone still defend sanctuary policies after hearing that? It's literally common sense. Protect people, not criminals.
That deported them. Sanctuary jurisdictions where drunk drivers with multiple DUIs continued endangering families. Florida enforcement that removed them permanently. The results prove policy matters more than politics when American families are at stake. Sanctuary jurisdictions claim moral authority while protecting criminals. Florida claims public safety results while removing threats. One approach sounds compassionate. The other approach delivers measurable outcomes. Cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York pass sanctuary ordinances that prevent local cooperation with ICE. Sheriffs in those jurisdictions release criminal aliens with outstanding federal warrants rather than honor ICE detainers. Police departments refuse to share information about arrests of illegal aliens with federal authorities. The result? Criminals remain free while communities remain at risk. Florida took the opposite approach: enhanced cooperation, expanded partnerships, maximum coordination between state and federal authorities. The result is clear.
Wow, that hits hard. Like, it's not about politics anymore. It's about who's actually keeping people safe. And Florida's out here doing the job others just talk about.
This was recognition that Florida solved a problem every state faces: how to remove criminal aliens when local authorities lack federal immigration enforcement authority. Florida's 577% increase in ICE partnerships created a blueprint other states are now studying. The question isn't whether the model works. The results from Central Florida answer that definitively. The question is whether other governors have the political courage to prioritize public safety over political correctness.
Oof, that line stings. It's like saying we know what works. Now, who's brave enough to actually do it?
And encouraged more law enforcement agencies to join this coordinated approach. The invitation is open, the framework exists, the results are proven. But replication requires political will. Governors must choose cooperation over obstruction. Sheriffs must prioritize public safety over sanctuary politics. State legislatures must authorize 287G partnerships rather than prevent them. These aren't technical challenges. These are political choices. Florida proves what's possible when states choose partnership. The Central Florida operation shows what 327 ICE partnerships can accomplish in 5 days. The 577% increase demonstrates what happens when governors prioritize enforcement over ideology. Florida and ICE just delivered a crushing blow to criminal alien networks hiding in Central Florida. 400 arrests in 5 days, 327 state-federal partnerships, and one clear message. When states cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, convicted criminals will be found and removed from American communities.
Man, 400 arrests in just 5 days. That's insane. Florida really said, enough talk, let's clean this up for real.
Should other states follow Florida's model that gives local law enforcement federal authority to arrest and deport convicted criminals? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more breaking ICE operations, state-federal enforcement partnerships, and criminal alien removals that protect American families, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a story that exposes how cooperation delivers public safety results.